This is episode 26 of 10,000 Africans podcast. I am your humble host, JD Tarpe. If you're a new listener, welcome to 10,000 Africans podcast. We are glad to have you as part of the community. If you're a regular listener, thank you for tuning back in and welcome back to the show. I'm glad you enjoyed. I have 3 things to share with you today. 1, if you like the show, if you enjoy the show, please email me and let me know. If you don't like the show, email me as well. If you're just listening, please email me. I do want to connect with every single listener of this show. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to your email. It is 10,000africans@gmail.com. Second, follow us on social media. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We share good stuff. Follow us. It's all at 10 the number K Africans. Or just on Facebook, just type 10,000 Africans like our name. Lastly, I have been thinking, what should we refer to the members of this community as? That is the 10,000 Africans community. Is it TTAers? I don't know. Is it Africans? Way too broad. Or villagers, because this is a community. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to your suggestions. What do you as a listener want to be called as part of this community? Looking forward to hearing from you. Enjoy the show. Today in the studio, I have somebody exciting, somebody that I'm excited to talk with. He is Yemi Johnson. He'll talk more about himself, but he actually started as a poultry farmer and made his way into tech. And now he works with one of the biggest names in the Nigerian tech scene, and that is Hotels.ng. They have some exciting stuff coming up, so I am very excited to talk to him. He is a practical guy, and he is the COO of Hotels.ng. Welcome to the show, Yemi.
Oh, thank you, JD.
It's great to have you on, man. Like I said, I'm excited to talk to you. So let's jump into it. I introduced you, but obviously I can't, fill in your whole story. So please go ahead and, fill in the gaps for us in your story.
Okay, no problem. So as you mentioned, I started off with poultry farming. From there, I got curious about investment banking, in the financial sector. But I wasn't successful in that field. But I had a couple of friends that were always talking about tech. And it was like, what is this thing they're always talking about? So I started following TechCrunch and a couple of other tech blogs because it seemed much more interesting than finance. And then TechPoints just started around that period. And I came on board as a writer and I learned a lot about the tech space then. But just reading about it wasn't enough. I wanted to do stuff too. And I always had this idea of launching an online classified, an hyperlocal classified. So I did that. And there was a lot of traction from it. But I was the only one managing it. And it was quite a small business. And it wasn't interesting again for me. I just wanted to exit it and work on something bigger. And so I found a way to exit the business. That's when I joined Hotels.ng. For me, Hotels.ng was one of the best things that happened to me because it was a fast growth company that just raised a bunch of money and they were looking to grow the company. And I was looking for a place where I could build myself and add value. And I could see the direct fruits of my labor in terms of the growth of the company. And so I came on board as a retention specialist. And I built the retention for the company. And from there, went to head the marketing team. And within the 3 months I came on board, we did a lot more than we did in the past. By the year after that, I was working on growth generally, which crossed across marketing and business operations, which was when I was able to understand how the work in marketing really affects business. So, I could be bringing in a lot of bookings, but if all of those bookings were not successful, it doesn't translate to money in the bank for the company. So all of that made me think holistically about the business and how marketing really affects it. And we're able to make our marketing efficient and make a lot of other departments efficient. And this was where Mark was really helpful to me because Mark had always been a sort of mentor throughout the entire process and guiding me on the right things to do. So from there, I worked on other parts of the business until I started managing the entire operations of the business, and I became CEO of Hotels.ng. But generally, working in Hotels.ng has been one of the best things that happened to me. And I think for every other person that comes on board, it's a huge milestone in their learnings, because you go from knowing a few things to working on something that has a lot of scale and affects thousands of people, like hundreds of thousands of users and people generally. And so that's been very interesting for me.
I read your article on how to operate a profitable tech business in Africa. And it is interesting because it is very practical. It's, I would dare to say, no bullshit way of approaching business in Africa, taking out the veil. Because I find that when you talk to a lot of tech entrepreneurs who want to start in Africa, or who, have started in Africa, what they sort of envision the African tech scene as something like Silicon Valley. And you come in and you say, no, this is not the case. So how do you operate a profitable tech business in Africa?
So I think if you understand the basics, if you get your fundamentals right from the very beginning, you would most likely succeed. I mean, there are a couple of other things, but the fundamental is this. So I have this framework, and the framework goes as this. There's a market, there's a channel, and there's the products. Many people, when they want to build a business, they start from the product. I mean, I have an app idea for something that would do this, right? And that's what they start from. But they do not consider the market. So the app idea could just be for them. So let's say Uber for Suya. It could be a good idea at the end of the day, but is it the right idea? And the thing is that there are thousands of ideas. I mean, I think for a lot of people that are just trying to come into entrepreneurship, they always mistake that their ideas are unique, right? And the one thing I've always preached to every new entrepreneur I say is that ideas are a dime a dozen. Your idea doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean shit, right? I mean, everyone else has an idea. It's just how you execute and a couple of other things that you need to understand. If you understand your market dynamics and everything. So there's a market, there's a channel, and there's a product. Many people start from the product, which is Uber for Suya, right? But if you started from the market, is there a real market for people that want Suya delivered to them, right? Like at the press of a button, is there, right? Now, you then need to validate the market. And the way you validate a market is not necessarily by filling out surveys. Surveys do not tell you anything. If I started Hotels.ng by sending out surveys to, say, thousands of Nigerians saying, would you want to book a hotel online? Truthfully, we probably would not have started this business. I would have spent a lot of money on that survey. So you need to find a way to validate the business. And it's part of doing the hard things. Because if you don't do the hard thing to validate your business, right, then you have shot yourself in the foot before you started. And this is how you do it. So let's say for hotel booking business, right? Most people, when they're looking for hotels, the first place they go to is the Google search engine, right? Meaning that if I can know how many people are searching for hotels within the location I want to build a hotel booking business, right? So if I know how many people are searching for hotels in Lagos, hotels in Abuja, hotels in Liberia, hotels in different locations in the period of a month, and I can say that, 20,000 people are searching for this thing every month. Like instantly, I know that if I can rank number one, if I can rank well in search engines, I can get a lot of traffic to my site. Just by validating how much people are looking for or how much keyword search volume there is for this business, I've already validated that, there's a market for this thing. Now, the next thing is that you need to understand your acquisition channel. Then the third thing is now understanding what market is and what channel is like. How can I build a product? And your product now is what you sell, your business model, everything around your business, right? How can I leverage what I know about the market and the acquisition channels to build a profitable business? So that is the hard work. Once you can do that hard work, I can assure you that you have figured out 50% of the equation. The rest 50% of the equation then comes to other marketplace dynamics and you staffing right. I mean, if you have a good team and you understand marketplace dynamics, then you have solved the remainder 50% of the equation.
Man, because it's so real, right? It puts it in perspective for anybody who wants to go into market, because the truth is, like you said, we all want to think of a product to present, but that is the last step for you to execute your business idea. Hotels.ng, you guys are one of the stars in the African tech scene, I may say, because what a lot of people don't know is that not a lot of tech businesses are profitable now, but you guys are one of the few that are profitable. And, you are able to command you're still raising funds, but you are actually profitable, unlike a lot of companies who, they go back to raising funds to get funding from VCs and stuff like that, right? So how have you guys managed to do that, to be that star on the scene?
Well, it's a lot of deliberate work and a lot of hard work, most of it coming from Mark himself, right? One thing that we understood earlier on was how to operate, right? So a general mistake that we have vetted earlier on was the market was overestimated, right? And I do not blame anyone for overestimating the size of the market. I mean, the market is out there, but I don't think the internet market is not as big as it could be, but I think 10 years in the future, it will be that big, right? And so if you're building now, you're building for that future. But also, if you're building now, it means that you need to conserve how much you burn in preparation for that future you're building towards. And one thing we understood earlier on was that you would not find Silicon Valley-esque growth, right? And what we did was, rather than hire to grow, we hired because we were growing. And we understood that, you can't actually hire to grow, because if you hire a lot of people to grow your company, you've made a mistake, because they would not manufacture growth. They would only do what you've given them. And then two, we understood from where the value we're creating was going towards, right? We create value for hoteliers, right? We only found a way to acquire customers and give them a decent service, right? But the real value we create is for hoteliers, right? So if we can make the hoteliers happy, it means that customers will be happy invariably. And there were a couple of other things we understood, which was that you cannot come and create a market in Africa. I mean, it is possible to create a market in Africa, but it is quite expensive. And unless you really have huge network effects, right? For example, an offline business like a bank or a telecoms company, they are so huge that they can create new markets, right? But for a small company, right, starting up, even if they have $1 million or $10 million in funding, trying to create a new market in Africa is hard. There are a couple of other things. We also understood that there are only a few things that we actually need to fix to grow. I mean, there are all these many things up and down, but if we fix these things, and we like to think of them as growth levers, operational growth levers, if we fix these things, right, we'll probably be able to grow. Don't put out a blanket solution, and be deliberate about growth and be deliberate about what people think about your company.
In a nutshell, how does your work add value to the continent and the people of Africa?
Okay, so for one, I think there are various ways that I can't even begin to mention. So I just mentioned the two direct things that are obvious. The first one is the value we create for hoteliers, right? For our business is about creating value for hoteliers, and there are a lot of all these hotels that are not visible, right? We want to be able to make them much more visible and help them grow their business, because as we grow, they will also grow. Then the second thing is that we want to actually help travelers in new locations say that find a hotel within their within their own budgets, right? That is the value we want to bring to travelers. Now, across the continent, we want to open up tourism, because by doing this, would essentially have opened up a lot of remote parts. Because by just listing those hotels, would also create a lot of content that people outside the continent can actually read and find enticing about Africa. And this could bring about a huge tourism boost within the continent. We might not be able to measure these things, but it is a direct consequence. If you could look and say that 10% of every, or 20% or 30% of every booking we get on the platform is from outside the continent, then that is huge tourism potential that we had brought into the continent. And that is a lot of businesses that are not even hotels that are beginning to rip off this value that we created for hotels, right, and for travelers.
And that's beautiful. So now getting into the more personal business, what is the biggest challenge that you have faced so far in your business or in working on the continent in general?
Operating in Africa would be hard. That's what I'd say. So for one, it would also be with the people we do businesses with. And aside, I'm not even going to mention government here. I'm going to mention, there's the government factor, but I'm not going to mention that because I think that is a given.
It's a given.
Right. Yeah. But it would be with the people we operate businesses with. So starting out was actually harder. I remember there was a time that we'll tell you, I thought that we were a scam organization and that we're trying to steal traffic from them, and they sent the police after us. But after we sorted that issue, we became friends, right? But let me mention from part of customers, and this is an incident that happened recently. There are scammers out there that try to do fraudulent transactions. So they would steal cards from people and try and use it on the platform. And the thing is that if that booking becomes successful and we pay the hotel, the person that made the transaction could have spoken to the hotel in advance, saying that they should split the profits. And by the time the chargeback comes, the chargeback will be on us, right? So we've learned to identify fraudulent transactions over time. We even had a case of a fraudster that did something similar, and so we issued a chargeback and told the hotel that we're not paying for the transaction and told the customer to. And so the customer brought a police officer to our office saying that, these people did not want to pay me back my money because in truth, he used someone's card, which wasn't his own card. And so he just came in with a police officer. But after everything was explained, the police officer was like, nah, I'm not going to do anything about this. And so it was quite funny because I'm like, how does this even play out? And the hotel manager was in on the scam.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah.
Gee, that's crazy. It's hard doing business in general, but on the continent, it's even harder. So, obviously, to stay in the field, to keep on doing this, there must be something that is the driving force. So, what is it that drives you?
Number one thing that drives us is value. And for us, what we want to do is that long term, we think that we can create a very big business, right? We want to be that African story. We have consistently proved a lot of people wrong. Like, how much have we raised? We've raised less than $1.5 million compared to our competitors out there, right? We have raised a fraction of what they have raised, right? And we compete just as well or even better than them. We have a very low burn rate. We have built a business, a profitable business that many of them have been unable to do in Nigeria, right? They have either gone bankrupt or they are losing a lot of money. And for us, we've built this business and we think that we can make this a big business and we can be that shining star of the Nigerian and African tech space and say that, you know what, it is actually possible to do this. And we can write and we can actually not just create value for our investors, staff, the people that use the platform and the hoteliers, but we can actually create value within the space and show people we have learned how to operate and actually help people operate these businesses too, right? If we are able to do this, then it means that we can transfer our knowledge and skills, and the staff that's worked with us have also gained all this knowledge and skills, and they can transfer it to new businesses. Like, we want to seed the community with talent, right? We want to create value all around in terms of talent, in terms of the the continent itself. Let people look at the continent and say, you know what, people are actually doing great things on this continent despite the odds. We want to do all of these things, and that is the motivating factor, saying that, you know what, for all of these reasons, we cannot give up. For all of these reasons, we have to find a way. For all of these reasons, we have to do the hard things. Because if we are able to do this, then it means that there is hope for the continent.
Man, and I think you guys are on the right track to do just that. Man, we're almost at the end. So I want to know, what is that one advice that you'll give to Africans on the continent or in the diaspora who are looking to add value to the continent?
I'd say trying to build value out of themselves. By value, I mean doing the hard thing. So whatever profession that they are in, right, whatever it is they're doing, whether it's a business or it's a career path, trying to be the best or trying to be better at what they're doing every day and trying to share that knowledge that they have gained. So trying to do the hard things to be better every day, right? And by that, they already have a lot of value within themselves. And then taking all of that value within themselves and saying that I want to give it to other people within the continent. Because sending down money to the continent might not really help. I mean, you send money for your family and your siblings that might need it. But I mean, the way you really help people is by finding people that need your specific skill. So you are great at game development, right? There are game development companies within Nigeria. Meet them and say, I want to help, right? There are businesses that are very complex to operate, maybe just a logistics business, and you have done logistics on a global scale, right? Reach them, understand their problem, and say you want to help them. Because you're not giving them a fish now. You're trying to teach them how to fish. And so by helping them, right, with the knowledge you've gained, right, you have built them, right? You have increased their capacity. And when you increase their capacity, they can as well go and increase the capacity of every other person that they interact with.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here we are almost at the end of the podcast, man. You must answer this one question. If you had 10,000 Africans at your disposal with expertise in every field, what would you do?
So for me, I've always been a person that is about growth and value, right? And like one of my life missions is to create wealth, right? And part of creating wealth, I don't mean wealth for myself. I mean wealth for people around me. I mean for the people within my country. I want the people within my country to be prosperous, right? And so what I would do is that I would harness all the skills into creating wealth, and this is how I do it. So with all of these 10,000 Africans, with all this knowledge and expertise, right, and with all the passion and everything, I would pick an industry with a lot of value chain, consolidate it, right, and build a big business around it. Build a big business around it and reduce the cost of production, make things cheaper, right, create a lot of jobs and create a lot of value within the continent, right, by making things cheaper and by just boosting exports in that industry. That's what I'll do.
Yes, sir. Here we are, Yemi Johnson. It's been great to have you on, man. Before we get onto our rapid fire question, how can people find you? How can people connect with you? What's the best way that they can connect with you?
So I'd say two ways. I have a website, yemijohnson.com. Just visit it. You'll see how, right? It's a form. It's just an email subscription form where you can connect with me. I send a sometimes quarterly or sometimes half-yearly newsletter updating you on what things I've been doing and soliciting your advice. And then I also I urge people to write me back about whatever problems they're facing or just to have a general conversation. You could also, so the website is yemijohnson.com. You could also reach me via Twitter. My Twitter handle is Yemi_UC, or you can visit, just Twitter on my website, Yemi_UC.
Yes, sir, man. It's been great having you on, but I can't let you go without the rapid fire questions. So let's get on with it. So, you ready for it?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite book?
I don't have a favorite book, but I have a favorite website. where I get a lot of content from. And my favorite website is reforge.com.
Reforge.com. Plantain or suya?
Suya. I like cow meat a lot.
Oh man, I would take plantain any day. Zuckerberg or Dangote?
Zuckerberg.
It's been great having you on, Yemi. It's incredible with the wisdom that you bring. And the passion that you have, man, it's incredible. It's just amazing to have you on the platform, and it's amazing to show people that you bring something special that shows people that, with not just hard work but doing the hard things, you can make things possible and you can be better with less money than your competition. So thank you so much for coming on the platform, Yemi.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, JD.
Thank you, and please share this podcast with your family and friends to help our platform grow, and rate us and review us on iTunes to help our message reach out there. Don't forget to check out our donation page, 10,000africans.com/donate, or our shop page, 10,000africans.com/shop. And if you have any questions or discussion, just leave it down below in the comments or email me at hello@10,000africans.com, and I'll be excited to reply to you. Thank you very much for listening, and have a wonderful day.